Hello, friends. Very good morning to all of you. Today, I bring a new topic for you: fixed assets discussion. So, you can expect what are the interview-related questions for this one. And today, we are going to discuss certainly some of the fixed assets, kind of interview-related questions, right? So, to start with, let us, I'm just trying to provide you a brief, process or brief introduction of what does a fixed assets, module does, and what is the impact of this module, and how this module is being used in the business, especially in the companies, right? So, say for example, for fixed assets, normally wherever you go, any company does maintain their ERP or non-ERP system. They'll have fixed assets into their business operations, right? They'll have the land building, they'll have the furniture fixtures, they'll have the plant and machinery, they'll have the office equipments, they'll have the motor vehicles, and there will be software equipments, and definitely there will be hardware equipments. So more of like these are different, fixed assets related information that every company possesses, and keep the information of all these fixed assets and their respective tracking of it. Definitely, there will be each month there will be depreciation calculation, and each year you'll have the depreciation calculation, the accumulated depreciation. Then you'll have the reclasses, you'll have the retirements, you'll have the reclasses, you'll have the sale, disposal of any kind of assets. All this information, you'll be getting into the fixed assets module particularly, right? So, fixed assets on an overview, I've given you, every ERP and non-ERP, who are the customer or the business, business structure being maintained by the company. If they're following any ERP, they doesn't also follow any ERP. They'll have to maintain their fixed assets register, and entire information related to the fixed assets. What does a fixed assets, book that have to be portrayed to the you can say to the in a year, monthly reporting kind of a requirement, or a yearly kind of a reporting requirement into your P&L, into your balance sheet. So all this information that is being processed and being maintained in every company, right? So in Oracle also we have fixed assets information, and we have fixed assets module, wherein you'll be able to maintain all this fixed assets related information. All right. So let us see what are the fixed assets key flexi fields. So we normally say in Oracle you will have key flexi field is nothing but your mandatory kind of information that you maintain in fixed assets. I would say the first one is your category. In Oracle they have segregated category into major and minor category. Fixed assets information. Major, you can say, I can give you example more of like, say for example, land and building, right? So under land and building, it may happen that you might have 5 buildings or 10 buildings. So building A, B, C, D, like that you can maintain in the minor category. Similarly, example I can provide you from some other category, like say for example you'll have furniture fixtures, right? So under furniture fixtures you have defined as a major category. There will be definitely minor categories under the furniture fixtures, like whether it belongs to which area of the furniture fixtures, building A or building B. You can also maintain the furniture fixtures, what kind of granular level kind of information in the minor category. In other categories, say for example motor vehicles, you can have your minor category, say for example your car, bus, truck. So all these things we can mention in the minor category at the granular level to track the real-time information of the fixed assets. Okay. So there is one more KFF is there. Apart from category, you have a location key flexi field is there. In the location key flexi field, exactly we need to figure it out where this particular asset belongs to which location. So a company, so say for example, they have a different kind of a location. I'll give you an example here. If you're maintaining your offices in India and across three or four locations, Bangalore, Hyderabad, you'll have Mumbai, you'll have Gurgaon. So all these different locations, right? You'll have different kind of offices, and on those offices you'll have different kind of assets. So basically, these locations you'll have to first of all define to the system. Then, whenever we create any kind of asset, right, or we import any kind of asset, or we say for example we import certain assets, or we create certain assets, or the legacy assets, right, whenever we go into the Oracle software, right. So this location already has to be inbuilt into the system. We create this location in advance, like the category ones, major and minor. So this location also has to be created in advance. Then only you can provide attach those assets into particular this category locations. So apart from your category and location, you have one more key flexibility, which is called your asset key flexibility, where you can maintain your extra information based upon business requirements. So if your client says you have to have some kind of figuring out whether asset is in which capitalized mode or CIP mode or expenses kind of a mode. So those information definitely you can get it from the asset register, being what kind of expense, what kind of a asset is belongs to, let's say, CIP asset, capitalized asset. So similarly, any kind of a business requirement where client wants certain kind of information to figure it out from asset, so you definitely can kind of a asset key flexible can be configured accordingly to get those informations particularly, right. So what are the types of adding asset to the fixed asset? So in fixed assets, you can do create your asset in a manual way. So Oracle provides, you can create a asset manually into the system, right? And there is option also, you can definitely load the data through the BDI seat. The second option, which is more of like a file based data import, we say that is more of like a Excel file based, kind of a object. So where you fill all this information related to asset and load it to the Oracle system. So more of like there is two way. One is your manual asset addition. In manual, you can do detail addition, quick addition. Those depends upon more of like, I can say it all goes into a manual addition, and you have a BDI, which is a quick addition. Probably a BDI, which is a Excel kind of a object where you fill in all the information and get it loaded to the system. That's how you do the fixed assets loading data to the system. Different ways of adding asset to the system. How do you depreciate asset in Oracle asset module? See, basically we have a fixed assets category, right? Fixed assets category will follow a depreciation path, whether it's a standard method, right? Uh, as we have WDB method. We have so many types of different depreciation method will be available based upon the Oracle database system provides a lot of straight line methods. You have different years based upon your straight line method or WDB method you can provide that. And in a category, in a particular fixed assets category, you can say motor vehicle, right? So I'll say a straight line method will be attached to the fixed assets category, say for example 5 years, right? So you can attach those 5 years for the fixed assets category. Then you can, whenever you create an asset, right? System by default picks that category related information which it is attached to. Suppose we purchase a car, right? It falls under the motor and category kind of a fixed category, then fixed assets category, then you'll have to follow the 5 year depreciation method cycle. So basically every month whenever you run your depreciation, it has to go and based upon the depreciation method, it is going to calculate your depreciation, right? Can I open close period of fixed assets which is already closed? Yeah, this is recently we have got, I think, in some of the patches a year back in 23, some patches we have got this information, but earlier it was not there. I think in the previously in the fixed assets module. For all modules you can open and close the period, but fixed assets earlier Oracle did not provide this option, right? But as of now you can still open a closed period of fixed assets, and whatever right reclasses and all those elements you can run it and plan depreciation and close it. So what do you mean by a mass addition process? Basically, a mass addition process means by more of like whenever you acquire any kind of assets, right, from a vendor, you create an invoice for the vendor and make the payment to the vendor, right? So that particular invoice, whatever, like say for example, I purchase a network equipment. So I'll have to put up that network equipment as kind of a asset treatment. Then I'll have to provide asset clearing kind of a account into the accounts payable invoice. Then I'll have to mark it as this is more of like you can say kind of asset checkbox. You'll have to enable it. Once these two are done, I think you can run over the mass addition program. But make sure that you need to run over the posting of that particular invoice. Once the posting has been done after the EP invoice, then we can certainly do the mass addition program. Then the data will move from AP to the fixed assets interface table, right? In the fixed assets workbench, you can able to see that open fixed assets information, and afterwards you can create the assets in the fixed assets. How we can do a split of asset? Same approach in a mass addition process. If you got one multiple quantity related asset and you have created only one line, so the moment you run the mass addition, it will be one line into the fixed assets workbench, right? In the mass addition workbench. So after that you can go for the split one, select that particular row and split it into say for example 5 units. System will create 5 lines based upon that one line asset, and that's the way you can split it. This is one way. The other way, if you're creating manual assets also into the system, that also you can split it. uh, yeah, if any other assets which is coming from your projects also, which are being created, then also you can do a split of those assets. Similarly, merge of asset, nothing but your different in the accounts payable you'll have different lines particularly, and you want to merge those different lines. So say for example you have purchased three different items, but you want to create only one asset out of it. So those three lines by default it will be available under your fixed assets workbench. Then finally you can go down to the fixed asset workbench, select those three lines, and you can merge into one asset. Okay, that's how you do the merging of the asset. How do you reclass asset? Basically, reclass is nothing but the asset has been already created, and sometime you come to know from the business perspective, right? You need to change the category of a particular asset. You can do so. If you want to change, apart from your category, you want to change the depreciation method of a particular asset, you can do so. You want to change the expenses account or the location being attached to a particular asset. Say for example, I'll give you example. Asset initially, the moment you have created, it is provided to Mr. X, who is employee, right? Say for example, it's a laptop. So the moment Mr. X, who is the employee of that particular organization, who has left the organization, and you want to reassign that particular laptop to another employee, so you can reassign that laptop to a new employee or existing employee. So that is more of like reclassing of one employee to the other employee. And if you want to change the location of asset, right, from building A to building B, also that is possible. So all these elements, whatever like you can do in terms of a fixed assets, changing of those I would say those business requirement, like the location, the employee, the expenses accounts, right, you can do so. So that will all fall into the reclassing of a asset. Next is, what do you mean by reinstate of asset? Reinstate nothing but whenever you retire asset, right? So those retire assets, sometime you have taken a wrong decision, or by default a user retire asset without knowing of it. You want to make put it back into the as the asset was into the same form. So how you can do, there is option in reinstate of asset, you can do so, reinstating that asset back from retirement to the original state of FR, you can do so. How do we create and transfer journal entries? So journal entry is nothing but it's a simple process. There is a schedule process you can run, so, and then the fixed assets weapons itself, you have create and transfer journal entries. There will be two options. You can create those journal entries and post it. If you don't want to post, you put it in a draft version, and after that you go and check, and then you finally post that particular journal entry. So that's all for the today's session. Thank you very much.